2019 NFL Draft. 2018 NFL Draft. The NFL Draft for 2017 is officially open.
It's Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, man.
The Dallas Cowboys select Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker. The Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott, running back, Ohio State. Yes! Dallas Cowboys select Zach Martin, guard, Notre Dame. The Dallas Cowboys select Travis Frederick, center, Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
Will McClay with the Dallas Cowboys. Got somebody wants to talk
Yes,
to
sir.
Jalen, this is Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys.
This is Jerry Jones and you're now a Cowboy. We just handed it.
Yes.
Okay, this is Jerry Jones and you're now a Cowboy. We just handed you in. Donovan, Jerry Jones with the Cowboys.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
We're doing just fine and proud to call and tell you we've just picked you. Excited about you being a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to go.
With the second pick and the 60th pick in the second round, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive back from Colorado, Chidobe Awuzie.
Hi guys, and welcome to the UK Cowboys TV podcast. I'm your host Lauren, and tonight I'm joined by the wonderful Jamie Smith. Hello Jamie.
Evening everybody, how y'all doing?
And my clothes twin Graham Wilson. Clearly Jamie didn't get the message tonight that twinning is winning.
Epic fun already.
I hope you all enjoyed our snazzy intro there. We are going to be starting the draft show next week, so that was just a little highlight reel to get you all pumped up hopefully. Tonight me and the guys are just going to have a chat through what's happened in the season, a little look at, we've had quite a few changes on the staff and potentially a hell of a lot of changes on the Cowboys roster itself this year. Before next week the guys really take and sink their teeth into the draft. But first things first, the Super Bowl last weekend. I guess you guys watched it. Predictable? What did you think? Graham, let's start with you.
I thought it was a really good game from start to finish, particularly when you consider last year's defensive slog. The Chiefs just seem to have this knack of playing right to the end and pulling a play or two out of nowhere that seems to kickstart an offense that takes control of the game. I thought the 49ers looked good before halftime, and then it just seemed to get away from them a little bit. And Mahomes does what he does, and there was one particular 60-yard play, I think it was, and it just seemed to spark them into life. Touchdown towards the end was a little bit unfair on the 49ers, but I think the Chiefs probably deserved it.
Yeah. Where did you watch the game, Jamie? At home?
I went to a couple of my friends' house. It was a pretty quiet one for a change. It was a bit surprising, and I think I had 3 beers all night, and that's not a Super Bowl night for me. But yeah, I think it was probably one of the more enjoyable Super Bowls over the recent years. Like I said, and I know we've all discussed it, and we previously, it was nice to see a game that was so close. Like you said, probably the touchdown at the end made it a bit flattering for the Chiefs. But yeah, I can say it was one of them where you didn't know who was going to win, and I think the pass to, I think it was to Hill, wasn't it, the 60-yard one that you was on about, Graham, wasn't it, that you could just feel the momentum shift. I think the only surprising thing of the game was, for me, know if I'll get some stick for this, but I don't think Mahomes was the MVP. I thought he had.
No, I agree.
No,
I thought that was a bit
absolutely not.
scandalous, actually.
Yeah.
No.
I personally thought Williams had a cracking game at running back. I would have,
Yeah.
if the Niners would have won, I would have picked Debo. But I think with Williams just had a really good game. But I don't know if that's just the quarterback favourability of the NFL.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Yeah, they tend to go for headlines.
Yeah.
And it's not sexy giving the MVP to a running back.
No, I know.
It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, so it was definitely, Mahomes, no doubt he's kind of like the face of the NFL now, but that wasn't his best game by any stretch. Jimmy G though, just a game manager. More than that?
I don't know. I've got a friend up this way who's a Niners fan, and I was chatting to him throughout the game sporadically, and he was slagging Jimmy G off, saying he's got no arm strength. He was like, we're not going to win it with this quarterback, and I was like, I just don't know if the nerves had got to him. I think he's a good QB. I don't know if he's elite, kind of. You say you put him in the Breeze kind of Brady kind of bracket, but I think the Niners have got a chance for him under centre for sure.
Yeah, I think he's never going to win a game on his own, is he? He's that kind of guy, but he'll keep it ticking over. Just think, just doesn't seem like Shanahan trusts him all that much, maybe, throughout the playoff games. But yeah, do you think we could have, on their day, the Cowboys could have beaten either side?
I think the Cowboys from the start of this year, yeah. I think the Cowboys towards the back end, not a chance.
Yeah, I'd agree.
We could probably have matched going on the performances. We could probably have matched the 49ers, but I still think that Chiefs offense would tear our defense to bits.
Yeah.
Particularly in the passing game. Even with Mahomes being the way he was, he got a couple of plays out that brought the team back in, and I just think, I mean, their running game is serviceable. Anybody that plays fantasy football knows that you stay away from the Chiefs running backs because you don't know who's going to get the start. Yeah. It's all down to. It looks as if it was all down to the weekly practice, who was going to start on the Sunday. So, but that, they call it, was the air raid offense, they call it. It's just, it's all speed, long bomb stuff, and that would have torn us to shreds.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But hey, it's New Year. This will be our year, won't it? As always. So perhaps for Cowboys fans now, can we have a little bit more positivity? We've obviously had a complete clean sweep of coaching. So round of applause for Mr. Garrett. Thank you very much. Off you trot. Lovely guy, stand-up bloke. Time to go. It was time. Now, Graham, I know your dad's a big Packers fan. You were ringing the bell for Mike McCarthy to come in, probably before Garrett was even announced as gone. Jamie, who was your pick for head coach? Did you have anyone that you were really kind of like rooting for?
Probably not a guy that was out of a job. I was banging on the Mike Tomlin drum, but there was no way on earth we were going to get him from the Steelers. But yeah, I say he was probably the best one available. He's worked with arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game and that's in the game at the minute. So I like it. I know a lot of people didn't, but I think it's a positive move, especially with Jerry said for a long time we've got a roster that's ready to compete, and I think going down the college route maybe would have been the wrong idea. Yeah,
I think we've kind of got that win now roster or thereabouts, haven't we? So I think the experience definitely. And has Jerry really got the years in him to sit back and have another Garrett type experiment? Probably not. So Graham, we'll go to you. Sell us Mike McCarthy. What's he bringing to the Cowboys?
Yeah, I'm delighted that we've got Mike McCarthy. He is a coach that can rely on drafting defensive players because he will get the best and more out of his offensive players. If you look at the Packers receivers through the years, they just seem to churn out these guys that do jobs for them. Like regular listeners to the podcast will know that my dad is a Packers fan, and I get to watch the Packers are on every Sunday. Prior to, usually we're on at 9:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning or whenever. So, delighted with Mike McCarthy. He has a Super Bowl ring, and there are very few guys on the street that still do. Most of them work in TV now, and they've got nice little cushy jobs, and they're not interested in coming back. They are not interested because their lives are far too good. But with the year off, McCarthy will have recharged. He'll have spent some time with the family. He'll have watched plenty of tape. One of the criticisms I keep hearing from doubters is that why didn't he win more Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers? And yeah, I get that, but it's a tough thing to do. It's not a given. He's not the only quarterback in the league. There are other certain talents. So you played through the Manning and the Brady era, and Drew Brees has chipped in with a couple of Super Bowl appearances and so on. So it's not like it's a given just because you've got Aaron Rodgers. He has been there, and we have very few guys in the roster and the coaching lineup that haven't. That have been to the Super Bowl. So by putting Mike McCarthy in at the top of the tree, hopefully, we all know, but hopefully Jerry will do his job and let Mike do his job. I get that people wanted to go down the whole college route and so on. I understand why, fresh ideas and so on. But goodness, there's been plenty of college coaches that have fallen flat on their face, because they are not dealing with the cream of the crop every single week. You might play for an 0-16 team, but you are still part of the best 300 players in the world. That there is certain talents even on the worst teams. NFL head coaches are not. They're having to deal with so many other things that college head coaches aren't. A guy whoever's coaching Ohio or LSU or Alabama, they can go to these high schools and have a fairly big clout in recruiting. They'll always have good teams because they've got good reputations. Doesn't work like that in the NFL. Doesn't work like that. And definitely. You only have to look at who was the Rams head coach?
McVay.
Where were they? They were on the couch just like everybody else. Yep. So the whole college route doesn't last forever. It's not a given. Just because you've got a brand new set of ideas doesn't mean your team's going to pull it off.
Yeah. I think one criticism that has been touted around is that Jerry's still, got too many fingers in the pie, and he's not going to let McCarthy do his job, and McCarthy's going to be a yes man. I think looking at the staff he's brought in and put together, that's probably not the case. We've only retained 3 coaches. So obviously Kellen Moore's kept his role as offensive coordinator. Doug Nussmeier's moved from tight end coach to quarterback coach, and we've kept Leon Lett on to work with the defensive line. Otherwise, from top to bottom, we've pretty much got coaching staff. Majority of them have worked with McCarthy before, either as a coach at Green Bay. Some of them have been former players under him. They're all guys he's worked with. He knows. We've got 4 former head coaches on this staff currently. So we're talking top to bottom. The God that was meant to come in and rescue us by a lot of fans, Chris Richard. he's out on a limb. He's not even got a team at the moment.
You don't become a head coach because you don't know what you're doing. They're surrounded by guys that they've been in so many different locker rooms, and everybody looks to them. So, I mean, goodness, he's just from picking up guys for a first staff. I think he's done particularly well. Yeah. I mean, even fans of Hard Knocks will know John Fassel really well. Even his special teams, he's not gonna let part of the 53 just be along for the ride. He's going to expect maximum effort even out of the special teamers. So you don't become a head coach because you don't know what you're doing.
Is there any coaches that left that you were sad to see or surprised to see go, Jamie, at all?
I was surprised with Mark Colombo. The offensive line last year was, you could probably arguably say, one of our better areas of the team, and it seemed that they were really enjoying well. It got on playing at a consistent level. Yeah, we had issues throughout the season with penalties, but a lot of teams have that. And I honestly thought he would have been, out of them all, and not people like Kellen Moore, I thought Colombo would have been one to be nailed on to keep his job.
Yeah. Was Phil Bin with Mike McCarthy at Green Bay? I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I think he was at one point.
Yeah.
Did he not leave Green Bay to become the Dolphins head coach?
Yeah, it rings a bell, doesn't it? I've always really liked Gary Brown, running back coach, but he's brought in Skip Pete. You could say Sanjay Lau, bit unfortunate maybe, wide receiver coach, but we had a hell of a lot of drops that, you have to think that a Mike McCarthy wide receiver corp can't be dropping that many balls, you have to think Dak's going to get him the ball. Again, probably the main one, quarterback coach, really. It was a shame to see Kittner go because I really felt that Dak made huge progress this year with him. But yeah, let's see. Mike McCarthy is obviously, Aaron Rodgers didn't arrive in this league as Aaron Rodgers as we know him today. So from, Mike McCarthy certainly said the right things, positive things about Dak so far. Let's see what he can do. What about Kellen Moore being retained? Are we surprised?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But he must have gave one hell of an exit interview in front of McCarthy to be retained. And I think he probably got retained as well because of his relationship with Dak. We're going to find out an awful lot about Kellen Moore this year because he's no longer the rookie. It's a huge step up going from QB coach to offensive coordinator. So he's not the rookie anymore. And I think if the offense isn't getting the job done, McCarthy will act because he's not his guy, if you know what I mean. He has picked him, obviously. He's spoken to him and likes where his head's at, and was watching an interview this afternoon, and he seemed to, a lot of the language will stay the same. So he's obviously bought into Moore's ideas and Moore's particular playbook. But yeah, I like to think that I wasn't too keen on Kellen Moore at the start of the season, and not much has changed. I mean, first through September he was the next Messiah, but October through December, nah.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong, Kellen.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see how much Jason Garrett played a part in not necessarily the decline of Moore, but the decline of our offense as a whole. Like you say, McCarthy, you would presumably would act a lot sooner. Will he be calling the plays? I mean, I think they've come out and said that Kellen will be calling the plays, but how much and for how long for?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting time. Where did you stand on Kellen, Jamie? Were you surprised?
Maybe not so much that he was kept around, but I think you just hit the nail on the head there, Lauren, at the end, and that was my thinking, that Mike McCarthy's pretty much known to control pretty much all the offense and call the plays. So I was fully expecting him to have that role, and then Kellen Moore kind of being the offensive coordinator and do the rest of the thing. So that was probably the biggest surprise of keeping him around, that he's going to call the plays. But like you say, he's probably going to be on a short leash.
Yeah. And again, do we think that Jerry's had anything to do with keeping Kellen around? I mean, you listen to everyone that's worked with Kellen, either at college level, probably even high school level, and before that, they said, he was born to coach, that he's got the mind of a coach. Does Jerry see him as the future Garrett? You think was there ever the risk that he was going to go down the route of putting Kellen, giving him the reins straight away?
I think if there wasn't such a huge change across the board, I would say yes. But I think McCarthy must have called that one as well, because he's called so much else. It's not going to be like. I think Jerry got that fed up with underperforming. He would have probably said that McCarthy could clean house. I'm going to say that McCarthy kept him. I'm going to say McCarthy kept him because of so much else changed.
I suppose the one thing that nobody could probably say going into this season is that we're kind of not going for it. I mean, like you said, Jerry's clearly let him have an overall of the coaching staff. I can't remember the last time I saw a head coaching change, and so many backroom staff were changed as well. You tend to see, don't you? Especially with a team that we had that, probably the back end of the season didn't go to plan, but there was bits in places there to help us succeed. And when you've got a team like that that's ready to win, you don't generally see a lot of changes like that in the backroom staff, even with an head coaching change.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty mega, wasn't it? And we finally, obviously we touched on the offense. Let's have a look at the defense. We finally moved on from Marinelli. I think probably we all thought Marinelli was going to go and Richard would step up. I've probably been one of Chris Richard's biggest critics from the word go. He was never the man for me. Anyone that continues to keep Jordan Lewis on the bench ahead of Anthony Brown, I'm sorry. Yeah, no words for that. But yeah, obviously big changes with defense with Rod out. We've got Jim Tomsula come in. Obviously a massive name for us. We've got Mike Nolan, haven't we? Defensive coordinator. I think Nolan's got a history of running, 3-4 or 4-3 defense. I know that a lot of fans were freaking out that, we've got the personnel for one system. He's going to come in and want to change it. But they've certainly not pinned their colours to the mast as to what they're going to be running yet. But, everything's kind of like hybrid these days anyway, isn't it? So how do we feel about the changes on defence? Had to happen, do we think?
It had to happen.
Yeah, definitely on the defensive line, it had to happen, didn't it? We didn't seem the same as we have been last few years. Sorry, Graham, I jumped in there, mate. Sorry.
No, on you go.
Nah, I said a bit there, mate.
They go on about, we're built for a 4-3. But a lot of the times we play nickel. They keep saying it's a passing league. So I'm not too concerned whether they want to change to a 3-4 or a 4-3. Some of DeMarcus Ware's best years were 3-4. Screaming off the edge, not having the tight end tackle combo to chip at him before we got to a QB. So the defensive line had such an appalling season. I don't think they get the right to choose. No, we're a 4-3 team. No, you are whatever we tell you to be. So whether it means putting Lawrence in at defensive end or if he goes to a stand-up linebacker, I don't know. It's still to be worked out. But I think with such a poor performance from the entire unit, if they want to make it a 3-4, go ahead, because we never saw much of the 4-3 anyway.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at, the personnel that we're set to potentially lose on the defensive line. Obviously, Lawrence isn't going anywhere, but we've got free agents, Malik Collins, Michael Bennett, Kerry Hyde, Robert Quinn. They're all arguably starting players on that defensive line at the end of last year. So it'd be quite simple to switch to the 3-4 with the guys outgoing. We're not tied to 4-3 by any stretch.
Absolutely.
Well, that's probably a good place to look now at the numerous free agents that we have coming up. Not going to look so much at the guys on other teams that are potentially going to be free agents to bring in, because obviously there's still contracts to be offered here and there, but we'll just focus on the Cowboys. I think we're looking at 25-ish, in the ballpark of 25
big list
free agents.
Look,
the place to start is the big three, isn't it? We're looking to tie up Dak, Cooper and Byron Jones are probably the big three on the roster. What's happening with Dak? Are we paying Dak? Should we pay Dak?
Go on, Jamie.
I think the consensus is saying he's going to get franchised. He deserves a payday. He's been, for me anyway, he's been immense since he took his first snap as a rookie to now. You've seen that progression every single year. He's shown that he can lead this team. Now, you're going to pay him $35 million a year. I don't know if I'd pay him that person. I'll probably sound like I'm contradicting myself a little bit there. He's going to get a payday, but I just don't know if he's in that 35 above range. I'd be comfortable paying him 30, 32, but I think that extra bit, I don't know, that extra $3 million, I'm not 100% sure.
So if you don't pay Dak, what would be your aim? So you would keep him on the tag for a year, and then what? Look, draft wise, or we're looking at the current free agents that would be available: Breeze, Brady, Rivers. Presumably at least two of those are going to be remaining with the teams. Teddy Bridgewater, Jameis Winston, Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota, both of those, or one of those certainly likely to remain with the Titans. Keenum and McCoy.
I'd probably use it more to give us a lot more time to get a long-term deal done. I say, not that I absolutely love Dak. He's definitely going to be the quarterback. It's just that money in it. Like I say, somebody's going to set the bar, and I'd like the Cowboys to be smart with it. And even if you put him on the tag this year, get yourself an extra bit of time to negotiate a contract. He's still getting a massive hike in the pay. And then, to be fair, I probably eat my words here, but if he balls out this year, then that $35 million is probably then going to look a snip, because the bar's going to be set even higher. So it's probably a win-win both ways. Is that way? I'd be disappointed if he left. Don't think he will, but it's just like I say, it's just got to get the right deal. And I think rather than trying to force it through before the deadline, but when it has to be done, it might be a smart way to go.
How do you feel? Do you think it worked for or against the Cowboys, Graham, with the Cowboys not sorting a deal out sooner for Dak? Arguably letting him play for his contract the season just gone.
Against, totally against.
Yeah.
anybody who listens to the ESPN podcast, they're talking about Patrick Mahomes cracking 40 million. If we don't pay Dak this year, he will be over 40 million.
Yeah.
I get the whole thing about franchising him so he doesn't walk out the door. But if we let him play on the tag and he has another cracking season, they'll be queuing up. I think it's really poor management from the front office, in my opinion, to be quite honest, to allow it to go this far. Because in my opinion, we have 3 cornerstones of the team hitting free agency, and you can only franchise one of them, obviously, and you're going to have to pay to keep the other 2, which is obviously Cooper, Dak, and Byron Jones.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. So if we don't pay him this spring, play him on the tag, you're talking 40 odd million next year. I mean, look at some of the numbers. If you're a top 15 quarterback, you automatically become the highest paid. Nobody's undercutting. They realise how valuable they are. Because by my count, there's 5 teams looking to draft a QB. Every single one of them would pay Dak. They would deal out the 35 million, wouldn't bat an eyelid. So it is really, really frustrating. But I think it's poor management that they allowed it to get this far, because we could have kept Cooper on the tag, for instance, see how the season went, because we'll get on to Cooper later on, but I think it's really, really poor they've allowed it to run this far, but on the other hand, it allows McCarthy to try before he buys.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult situation. It's really unfortunate that we allowed it to go on this long.
I mean, my feeling is they're going to use the franchise tag just to buy him that little bit more time, rather than tagging him and having the year on the tag. That's just what I would expect. But, we've all been Cowboys fans long enough to know to expect the unexpected. So, but I'd say we're all agreed Dak is the quarterback of the future. We shouldn't be trying to flip him to the I think someone suggested flipping him to the Bucks for Jameis Winston. Favourite ones.
Oh, wow. I don't want to be drinking whatever they were drinking when they come up with that idea.
I mean, if that, I don't know who it was, but if you're listening to the podcast, yeah, good one. There's not much more to say about that.
The only current alternative I could see to Dak, in all honesty, the only alternative I could see to Dak would be Teddy Bridgewater. If I was to say, if somebody turned to us and said, right, Dak's not the guy, we're not going to sign Dak, who do you want? It would be Teddy Bridgewater. Because for him to come in and do that well for this, I understand they've got Michael Thomas and so on, but for him to come on off the street and do that well, to keep that run going, was particularly impressive. And I think he's got time on his hands as well in terms of age. I mean, I've seen like, we should go for Brady, we should go for Breeze. What, for a year?
Yeah.
It's a plaster over. It's not the future.
Yeah, let's say that's one thing, isn't it? If we had, I don't know, say we just lost Romo and we had this roster that would look set to go, set to win now. Yeah, go and get your Brady or your Breeze, but we've got a young quarterback who we've arguably built this team around now. So,
and if you look at it that way as well, and like I say, I don't want people to think that are listening that I don't want that to be the QB. It's just paying that amount of money for any position. It always frightens me. But like you say, you mentioned Brady. there's talks of him getting 35 million. So I would, although a class one, I would begrudgingly rather pay Dak 35 million a year than Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So another guy, let's move on. Someone who Dak's going to be looking for, Amari Cooper. He's a tricky one, I think. Yeah, we've got to pay him. He's a top wide receiver, but my God, he had some weird moments during the last season.
This situation really, really frustrates me.
You run with this one, Graham. Take us through Cooper. I mean, he's a funny one.
Long-term group members will know that I wasn't keen on Amari Cooper. And I found myself eating my words because he did really, really well. He was a cracking player most of the time. If you go and spend a first-round pick and get 17, what was it? He played 9. Was it 9 before? Call it 25, 30 odd games. That is not good value for a first-round pick. I mean, you could argue, yeah, they were going to go and spend it on a wide receiver anyway. But as soon as you commit that first round pick, you have to pay him.
Yeah.
That's a first round pick should be a cornerstone of your team, and for them to go through the whole season and only lock up Zeke, I think is really, really poor. What are they waiting on?
Yeah.
He had a really poor December, and that's making the situation even worse because this is a deep wide receiver draft. We'll get into this towards the spring, but this is a really deep wide receiver draft, so it's only going to tempt them into say, let's see what Amari gets on the open market and see if we want to match it.
Yeah. I think Gallup didn't do Cooper any favours either, because he's certainly flashing wide receiver one potential.
Absolutely.
The drops, weren't on, but that was, he certainly wasn't alone in that. Cooper had his fair share, so did Cobb. There was plenty of drops to go around.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Lauren. And I was just going to say, with Gallup emerging as he did, out of those big three that are pending free agents, with the emergence of Gallup, would losing Amari be less of a hit because we know we've got Gallup compared to have we really got anything behind Dak or have we got anything behind Byron Jones?
Yeah, same. I mean, I definitely, I think we should keep Cooper, but I think we have got that little bit of leeway with Gallup that perhaps we didn't have. Also, pending free agents are Randall Cobb and Tavon Austin. I mean, McCarthy will be banging the drum to keep Cobb, surely, Graham, right?
I'm not so sure.
No,
I'm not so sure. I think he knows what Cobb was, and as soon as he sees what Cobb is at the moment, of course he won't see him because he's a free agent. So if he goes back and looks at the tape and doesn't like what he sees, I certainly like. We got good value for Cobb. I think Cobb was on $5 million for the 1 year. That's a good return for a number 3 receiver. So, I would bring him back on the same money, but I don't know if McCarthy will, because again, like I said before, it's a deep wide receiver draft, and McCarthy's particularly good about pulling guys off the street, practice squad players and so on. The amount of times I've been sitting watching a Packers game, and not this season, but in the past, and it's been some random name that's just caught a 30-yard touchdown, and I look to my dad, who the hell is that? But he's just gone and done the job. So I'm not so sure about Randall Cobb. I think there's a lot of money to be spent, and I think it'll be spent on younger guys. Tavon Austin, I'll be honest, I wouldn't miss Tavon Austin.
Yeah, I know. It's just,
To be quite honest, he's
yeah.
I mean, I remember watching Hard Knocks all those years ago, and he just signed a $10 million a year extension with the Rams, and you're thinking, you know, I don't know if the numbers were ever there. Maybe they were. Maybe Jeff Fisher just loved him. But just to go back to Cooper for a minute, I'm going to make a prediction that 19 is not on the team this year.
Wow. What do we think then? Apparently Brady's only willing to stay with the Pats if they bring in some weapons. How about Cooper on the Pats? That'll be some weapon for him.
It's funny you should say that, because see if this was the Patriots, they would not pay Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Because they don't pay big money to receivers, barring Randy Moss. So it doesn't really happen all that much. I think Brady would love to have him. You know, he strikes as the kind of short to middle receiver that Brady loves, because Brady's not going deep anymore.
Yeah.
But to back up my claim, I think they will go younger and they will go cheaper at wide receiver, and Amari Cooper will want number one money. And in my eyes, number one money is 16, 17 million. It's Odell Beckham Jr. money.
Yeah.
And he is not Odell Beckham Jr. class. I think we've seen the last of Amari Cooper, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
That's hot take.
Yeah. Hot take there. Ooh, sound the alarm.
Somebody will pay him. Somebody
definitely.
like the Jets will pay him stupid money.
Well, talking of the Jets, Robbie Anderson is one of the pending free agents. Because I was looking at the ones the under 30 free agents at wide receiver. It don't make for good reading. You've got Devin Funchess, Rashad Perryman, Robbie Anderson, Nelson Aguilar. I mean, I quite like, you know, I'd have a punt on Robbie Anderson, but he's not wide receiver one, you know, come in, pay big money. And I think someone would pay him big money. But yeah, it leaves a lot to be desired, that little pool there. Okay, let's carry on with other weapons. Probably a massive talking point last year was Jason Witten coming back at tight end. We've got Witten, unrestricted free agent, and we've got Blake Jarwin, who is a restricted free agent. Is it time to make Blake tight end number one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it worth bringing Jason back?
No. No, that was quite short and to the point.
What about you, Jamie?
I don't think it's debatable. I mean, I've got an 82 jersey, love the guy to bits, but I'm sorry, we're pushing for a Super Bowl, and he is arrow down hard. Yeah. So
I think, you know, Blake really showed up as well at times, didn't he? So
it's really, really painful, because I think he wants to play next year, and it will be really, really tough to see Jason Witten in another team's jersey.
Particularly New York Giants.
God, don't say that. That
you imagine Jason Garrett taking Jason Witten to the Giants and starting him over Evan Engram.
It's a perfect landing spot for him. He could be their second tight end, no problem. The other one I thought of was the Redskins, because Vernon Davis is retired. Yeah. I'd hate to see him in another team's jersey. I would hate even more to see him in the NFC East.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie? Because obviously I know Jason's probably your all-time favourite Cowboy, isn't he?
Yeah, him and Romo, I absolutely love him, and I'm kind of torn. My heart is saying, get him signed up. If this is the year that we win the Super Bowl and it's not there, I'd be absolutely devastated. Yeah. But my head's saying, look, it's... And no disrespect to him, I mean, I know time's not on his side in terms of playing wise. Was he really the Jason Witten that we're kind of used to last year? I just think, like you say, it's probably sadly time to move on, and it's just I would have preferred it if he just didn't come back. He had that
Yeah.
swan song and he went, and now he's going to go off into the sunset, and it dropped it there. It's going to go where we're going to probably see him on another roster, and it's going to kill us all to see it.
Yeah. I mean, just hopefully he doesn't end up back in the commentary booth. That's all I'm hoping for. Because let's be honest, he's no Romo in the commentary booth.
No, I think he'll play. I think he'll play this year. Yeah.
So let's have another hot take then in the NFC East.
I can't bring myself to name a team, so you're gonna go on this one, G, and Lauren, you two can name on this one. I can't sell my guy.
It's a crystal ball, but I can see him on the Redskins.
Oof. No, I'm hoping. Who's there today? Is it Greg Olsen?
Oh, he got cut. Yeah.
And because it's what's his name there, isn't it? The head coach. I'm hoping that they feel
that would make sense actually. Yeah. That would make sense. But so would going to the Giants with Garrett.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Giants
kind of security blanket for their
old DJ.
Yeah.
Danny Dimes. There's Eric Ebron is a free agent tight end. Do you think the Cowboys would go down the route of getting someone in? Because we're going to be desperately, a bit empty underneath Blake Jarwin. Are we confident in Jarwin being our number one?
This is probably the year to find out, isn't it?
He probably deserves a crack, I'd say.
Yeah, like you say, at times last year he looked brilliant. Are we going to get a free agent that can push him? Because sometimes, like you say, you see it in all sports, don't you? If you've not got kind of at least a half decent replacement behind him, is he going to play to his full potential? Now that number one tight end spot's pretty much nailed on to be his. And is he going to get complacent with that?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I would wonder how much having Witten there held him back, because Witten was obviously Garrett's guy. Did he ever feel like he had the chance of being that number one? It'd be interesting to see him under new staff. Any of the free agents that you'd be happy to bring in, Graham? Olsen, not him. Ebron, Tyler Eifert, Austin Hooper, but I think he's going to be big money, isn't he? So
I keep hearing Hunter Henry's name coming up in fantasy.
I love Hunter Henry.
But to get Hunter Henry, you're going to have to pay him good money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which we don't have if we're going to pay Dak.
Yeah.
So, we've got all this. I'm just looking at the free agency list now. Robert Quinn, $8 million. Cooper, $5.5. Cobb, $5. Witten, 4.25. Money's there. But I want to get our guys signed up first.
Yeah.
But they've known that all year, and it still hasn't happened. So
yeah. Okay, so probably the biggest area of losses is on that defensive line. Like I said earlier, Malik Collins, Christian Covington, Michael Bennett, Kerry Hyder, Robert Quinn. I loved Robert Quinn last year. I'd love to get him back. What do we think?
Yeah, he fit into our scheme so well. I'd love to see him and Bennett back. That's no disrespect to the other guys, but if the other guys walked, I wouldn't be too disappointed if those two did. I'd be disappointed if those two guys went.
Yeah, I'd say Quinn was different gravy when he last year. Are you paying Robert Quinn, Graham? How much did you say? What's his money?
Well, according to overthecap.com, $8 million. $8 million. I would give him that again.
Yeah,
give him
same.
that again. But again, it goes back to the whole, why was he traded in the first place? And if you look at Quinn's stats, they do drop. They do drop towards the end of the season. Michael Bennett was roughly the same as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. See, I have a big problem with paying guys the top money and then their stats fall. I mean, you only have to look at Lawrence. 5 sacks. I don't know. It just, a lot of the times I think big deals make players tired. You know, I've got my money. I'm not going anywhere. If I could get the Robert Quinn that signed for us initially for another year, and if I could get the Michael Bennett that came in and wanted to make a difference, I would absolutely. Not a 2-year deal, not a problem. But it's big. It's doling out big money to pass rushers again, and we already have Lawrence. So I don't know. We
can trust McCarthy in the draft route. I mean, who did we draft last year? Who was our first pick? He's so irrelevant. I've forgotten his name.
It was tackle on it. I can't remember his name. The defensive tackle on it. What's his name? Hill. I could be.
Oh yeah.
Hill. Tristan Hill.
Tristan Hill. Let's see. Yeah.
The myth.
So see, how about that? You know, our first draft pick of last year. I can't even remember his name. Can't even blame baby brain for that. I mean, that's how irrelevant he was. I mean, we've got to be getting
this
something.
This is the other side of the coin, though. You can't trust the draft. I mean, at least
very true.
At least Quinn and Bennett have been there and done it, and you know what you're getting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just. I mean,
there's some big names on free agency. Who have we got? Gerald McCoy is probably a bit old. Leonard Williams. Vic Beasley, the Falcons have said they're not re-signing him. Got Shaq Lawson. One name I really like, Eric Armstead from the Niners. You know, whether that would all be doable, you know, it's neither here nor there at the moment. But there's certainly names out there that we would be able to bring in. But hopefully, you know, McCarthy and co, perhaps they can get more out of the guys we've got. Malik Collins, he's, you know, the epitome of, you know, one of the best players every off season. You know, he's going. I think Brian Broaddus said last year, you know, he's the one to watch. He's going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not sure we could even say he flashed during the season. Hot and cold boys is maybe more the appropriate nickname.
It's just sounds foreign. Like you said,
lukewarm boys. I don't know. You know.
we had such a poor year by recent standards on that defensive line, and there's a lot of, like I say, big names on there. But we've got some big money to pay out on impending free agents. It's just that sounds like if we'd had crap loads of cap space and nobody to sign, there'd have been nobody. It'd have been slim pickings and backups.
Yeah. I mean, so if you asked anyone, I'd say probably at least the last 4 seasons, possibly the last 5 plus, the biggest area of weakness on the Cowboys, I'm guessing we'd all agree we'd look at the defensive back position. And one of our big players, Byron Jones, set to become a free agent. Alongside him, you've got Anthony Brown, CJ Goodwin, someone called Jeff Heath, never heard of her. Caden Frazier and Darian Thompson, all set to be free agents. Byron Jones, are we paying him?
Yeah, Brian, I know. I'll talk to her. I know. You don't get better by letting your best player walk out the door. Simple as that. But again, how long have we known the contract doesn't, you know, oh my God, Byron Jones is a free agent. You know, it doesn't happen just like that overnight. They've had the whole year. Hasn't happened. So we're all very, very, very young at cornerback, and we don't need to get younger. I think it's another one. We need to get Jones. Fair enough, he didn't have a great season, but newsflash, nobody did. So
yeah,
he's definitely.
I think Byron is consistent. You know, he's not. Well, we want a defensive back who's going to come and get some picks, get their hands on the ball, and we've just not had that for donkeys now. But Byron is consistent, at least. If we lose Anthony Brown, Byron Jones, CJ Goodwin, Heath, Frazier, Thompson, there's some quite hefty holes there. You know, certainly Anthony Brown, Byron Jones, Jeff Heath, they leave probably all starting positions.
It's like they say that they didn't perform greatly, but they say if we let some of them walk, we're in a worse position than we bloody are now.
Yeah. Where do you stand on Byron Jones, Jamie? Are you paying him? Well, first of all, do you want to keep him?
Yeah. I think you both touched on it. Like I say, there's versatility there. It's not even a contest. He's our best defensive back. You don't let your best defensive back walk out of the building if you're trying to build a championship team. And to be fair to him, and probably Brian's going to probably hate for this, but as Byron Jones as well, really had a lot of help back there since he was drafted. He's, like you say, he's always had people in there, and about people have shown flashes, but no one's ever really been on a consistent level to let Byron probably go and do what we all know he can do.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, the DB, so the secondary coach we brought in, is it Maurice Linguist?
Yeah.
35 years old, never coached in the NFL before. So he's gonna have his work cut out with the group of guys haven't really got at the moment, I'd say. Did they improve under Richard? Maybe some of them at times. But would we agree that they all were perhaps underperformed in that department?
I think
absolutely. They did.
Just shows that interceptions was awful return this year.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like we've just been getting worse and worse in that department for years. I think the Pats. I think they had individual players that had more interceptions than we had as a whole team. You've got to laugh or you cry about that kind of fact.
I mean, I think a certain amount of it was down to our overall team performance, because if you get the lead, you get a 14 whatever point lead, teams are going to have to throw, so you know that a throw is coming, so opportunities to turn the ball over and become ball hawks and all that kind of stuff, they increase. Whereas if teams are running on us more, it reduces the chances of that. So there's a certain part of overall team performance certainly dropped their stats a little bit, but I'm talking about keeping Byron Jones, but I don't know, if you could say we did keep Jones, you're talking about having your top three guys still at corner. Mm-hmm. And straight away you go, well, what's changed? That kind of way. And I just think they're going to have to, I would like to see them draft one, maybe even two, and just put a little incentive in there. We've brought this guy in, maybe third, fourth round if we can find, just not a world beater or anything like that, but just somebody that can push just a little bit, to upset the status quo, if you like, and just throw somebody else into the mix. And but yeah, I mean, it goes. I think they have to keep Jones. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree there. Are we assuming that Will McClay is doing his draft research and eyeing up the DBs in those first couple of rounds? I mean, obviously, we all sing from the same hymn sheet that it's best player available, but you'd assume, wouldn't you, looking at what's going to be gaps in this roster, that defensive back's got to be a position of interest. Certainly safety at the very least, if not corner.
I might be getting carried away, but I don't know if cornerback is the top priority. I would say that some help on the offensive line is high. A nose tackle, if we're going to go a 3-4, that's huge. If we're going to have to replace Cooper, that's a wide receiver. We constantly cover a safety.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but going to by the December performances, we do have a few holes.
Yeah, very true.
You can only draft what you have, with the picks you have,
Yeah. I mean, there's going to have to be some work, isn't there, on free agents, coming in, and we're bound to lose some. Looking at the O-line, Joe Looney and Suafilo are both set to be free agents. I'd love to keep Looney. I think great character to have around, good position, flex. He's got the experience. I thought he played pretty well the time that Travis Frederick was out. But yeah, we definitely need help certainly in the backup perspective of that O-line. But
I think when we brought Cameron Fleming in to start, that was scary. I remember he did not do. I can't remember what game it was, but he did not do Dak any favors. I mean, you hear all the time about drafting a tackle that can kick inside the guard, and that certainly covers the Suafilo hole. I don't know if you can get 16 games out of Tyron Smith anymore, so a swing tackle would be nice. Looney, I like Looney as well, and I think one of the things with Looney is you're not gonna receive much competition for him. I don't think anybody's on the phone to his agent with a huge offer, because he is effectively a backup. But you've got to have your 8 guys, and I think it would be good if we could keep Looney. Suafilo wouldn't shed a tear if he left. But I think it's Richard Jones is one of the big supporters of offensive line help, because I think he said during the season that we've neglected it a little bit, and I think he's right. When you consider what a cornerstone of the team was, like when we had DeMarco Murray, our offensive line was the driving force, and it's kind of chipped away and decayed a little bit. And I think, I know we've only got so many first, like 1, 2, and 3 round picks. So to get good offensive line help, you're going to have to go high, because obviously we all know they go early. So it's going to be if they're going to do it, it's going to have to be a lot of capital. Yeah. Maybe I don't know if it's a great offensive line draft. Certainly in the first round, they might be able to get somebody in the second though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, you're sacrificing perhaps someone at another position who would perhaps get a starting role in this team for someone who's potentially going to be a future replacement for a Tyron Smith or the likes. Well, that's why the likes of McClay and that are paid the big money, isn't it? That's the decisions that they have to make. If it was easy, the Browns wouldn't be the Browns.
Of course, yeah. They've got to be doing something, because they're not re-signing big contracts. So maybe they've made the decision that these guys should have shown up for us during 2019 and they didn't. So they're not necessarily ready to hand out the blank cheques. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing them a disservice, but something's got to give.
No, absolutely.
Got to bring them in and replace them.
Yep. Okay, let's wrap it up with our question. So Dak, Cooper, and Byron. You're only keeping 2 of the 3. Who are you taking?
Go on, Graham, you can hit this one first, lad.
Well, like I've said before, as soon as you start playing about with the quarterback position, you're in trouble. In my opinion, Dak is one of the top 5. So Dak is an automatic. What they've been doing with his contract, I don't know. Because if they don't get it done this year, you're talking, I think you're looking at close to 40 million. Because it's only ever going to go up. So one would be Dak Prescott and the other would be Byron Jones, because I think, like I've said earlier on, I think 19 is playing for somebody else next year.
Yeah. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, it's given, in it. Dak is Dak's coming back, like I say, regardless if it's franchise tag and then they work out a deal later on, or if they manage to get it done. And Jerry said it often enough, I know, that Dak Prescott's going to be the quarterback of the Cowboys for a long time. But I'm going to go with Graham. Yeah, Byron Jones. I just think, although I like Amari Cooper, I liked him originally when he came out of college and he went to the Raiders. The emergence of Gallup last year would soften the blow of losing Amari Cooper, whereas if we lost Byron Jones, have we really got anybody that can step up and play to a level that he has? Yeah,
I'm with you both there. Obviously, the dream scenario is we keep all 3, but you just don't know, do you? It's not our money they're playing with.
At least we haven't got Lawrence Williams.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Apologise.
Right. Thank you. I hope that you enjoyed our little focus on the coaching staff coming in and potentially the playing staff that could be going out, but we hope not. We won't be booking a taxi for any of them just yet. So next week, Mike will be joined by a couple of the other guys, and we'll be digesting things about the draft, looking at the Cowboys' wants, needs, maybe potentials, top picks, no picks, trading for picks. So join us next week. Thank you to my co-presenters, co-guests, Jamie and Graham. And join us next week. We are UK Cowboys TV show, the #1 fan group in the UK for the NFL. Oh, and happy birthday to us, by the way. We're 8 years old today.
8 years old, eh?
Tremendous. What an achievement.
Oh, you've not gone grey at that time, Jamie.
Try to lose it, though. I don't know about all else.
So, thank you for joining us. Happy birthday to us. Thank you for making us the #1 fan group. That title is decided by us, but we say we're pretty good. Peace. Thank you.
See you next time.
Wow.